It's a breezy morning on the Cumberland Plateau, a perfect day for hiking. But this forest foray is not for fun. These folks are here to work, fighting to keep one of the top trails in our nation open.
Fiery Gizzard Trail is pretty renowned around the country for backpackers, for our fall foliage, for the waterfalls. We got Sycamore Falls and Foster Falls, big hemlock trees.
You've got these beautiful bluffs. Of course, you get out here to Raven Point, which is the juncture of two of the Gulfs, and just gorgeous views. Come at different times of the year, you get a completely different look from the spring to the fall with the color.
It's an incredibly beautiful place. There's not only just dramatic scenery, but there's all kinds of opportunities for you to kind of get off by yourself and enjoy nature.
The Fiery Gizzard Trail came into being back in the 1930s when Civilian Conservation Corps workers built about 3 miles of trail through Grundy Forest. Then in the 1970s, as local landowners like Herman Bagenstoss and Bud Werner led the effort to create South Cumberland State Park, work began to extend the trail another 10 miles, all the way to Foster Falls.
At that time, it was just sort of a patchwork quilt of many different landowners that saw this vision to allow folks to get out into the woods and view all this beautiful natural wonder.
90% of the land was privately owned, and the trail existed only because they had an easement, not in all cases written, to allow the trail to go through it.
But over time, many of the original owners passed away or sold their land.
And unfortunately now, current owners, not the previous owners, but current owners in many instances are saying, we really don't want you on our property.
Clear all this off. There's a large tree down here, a dead tree that we're going to slough off.
Faced with the prospect of closing the middle section of the Gizzard, park rangers, with the help of volunteers, are now tackling the difficult task of moving part of the trail off the canyon rim and down below Raven Point.
We don't want to close this trail. We don't want to lose this trail. It's taking a lot of work. We may have 5 to 10 volunteers come on a Saturday, but we're only gaining maybe 100 to 200 feet in a full day's work.
The rugged beauty of the Fiery Gizzard is one of its greatest assets. But when it comes to moving this trail, it's also one of its greatest challenges, especially when it's time to move downhill.
This is going to be grueling work.
We're going to have to drop our trail down into this gorge, cross the creek, and then come up the other side. And it's going to be rugged.
It's a daunting task, but one that can be overcome thanks to Tennessee's volunteer spirit.
When you see the volunteers come out, it's very exciting. And they're excited, and they do accomplish so much.
Dee Bushnell made her first trip to the Fiery Gizzard just a few days ago.
My husband and I love to hike trails, and we thought we'd come out here and volunteer a little bit this weekend.
While she doesn't feel comfortable working on the steep sections, Dee's right at home on the flat parts.
I figure if I can work in my yard, do gardening, that's basically what we're doing here. Now, I know there's some cliffier, steeper areas where younger people would probably be a little more able to get it done, but there's a lot of areas that everybody can work at their level.
Barry Penley and his fellow Nashville hiking meetup members aren't afraid to tackle the steep stuff.
We hike this trail quite a bit, probably 4 or 5 times a year. So when we heard that there were going to be some issues with the trail, we came out to help.
It's help that is vitally needed by a small park staff with limited resources. And whether they realize it or not, these volunteers are making a mark in history, reforging the Fiery Gizzard with the same hammer of public service that helped bend it through the wilderness in the first place.
It's kind of like one of those once-in-a-lifetime opportunities that you can come out and be a part of something that's going to be here for your children, for your grandchildren, for the future. And you can say, well, you know, I worked on that. I helped blaze that trail out there in that Fiery Gizzard. That's going to be something that everybody will appreciate in the years to come.
I'm Ken Tucker on The Wild Side.